Hey everybody, it's Jonathan. So I'm just playing around with our unusual options activity scanner. That's what's in front of you. 10 days, we're looking to look stocks between 25 and 50. You can look whatever parameters that you want. The top 10 stocks that are showing up over the last 10 days, you can see right here below. And these are the names that we believe have the highest probability of outperforming the implied volatility, the volatility that's priced in the market. So what I want to share with you is EWZ. EWZ is iShares MSCI Brazil. What we tend to notice is when industries or countries or commodities keep coming up on the wiretapper, where there's smoke, there's fire. So we could expect a pretty big move out of them. And we got to experience that with uranium. Because not only CCJ, which is a uranium name, but back in September, all the uranium names were absolutely dominating the wiretapper. And since then, uranium's been up 30%. But EWZ, Brazil, FCX is copper. Copper is definitely in play. Copper is ripping higher. Brazil is a huge country dependent on the price of commodities. So I'm starting to think that Brazil, copper coming up, that there's starting to be a lot of activity moving into Brazil stocks. So here's what I did next. I moved over to the volume area because I just want to see how often EWZ comes up on the wiretapper. So EWZ search, going back to 2016, it's got 96 hits with volume. But if I take it on 2021, we're only getting 12, with the most recent being October 19th. And you can see the average volume for EWZ, 150,000, and then all of a sudden 400,000 come through. So quite a bit jump than the average. The next thing I want to do is I want to look at how EWZ is trading, how it's priced. So what I'm going to do is just put you on a daily, and let's go back 2 years to get a feel for the movement of EWZ. Now the tool I have in front of you is, we call it our high value target tool. It's just a 21-day moving average of historical volatility, not a price. And we want to know when it gets 3 standard deviations and 4 standard deviation bands away from that average price. EWZ has been kind of trending lower. If we look at 2021, it trended higher, 30 up to 45, and then sold off 45 to 30. And we're seeing lots of little buy signals, lots of little sell signals. But what I found interesting is, let's take a step back, because when you're investing in commodities or countries such as Brazil, you want a little bit of a longer term time perspective because you need things to work out. Brazil right now obviously is facing a booming condition for commodities, but there's a lot of concern because apparently people are losing confidence in Brazil's leadership. But watch what happens if I move you on a weekly. Take it off daily, move it on weekly, and let's go back 5 years. Well, now take a step back, and this is more of like common sense type trading. A lot of time going back to 2017, but the reason I like this tool so much, it's the same 21-day historical moving average of now weekly, 3 standard deviations and 4 standard deviations. But the great thing about this tool is it doesn't get you in on every move. It only gets you in when it works back within those 4 and 3 standard deviations. So looking historically, all these sell signals were awesome, right? Awesome, awesome, hugely awesome. Buy, no sell signal here because it never overtook the bands. No buy signal because it never overtook the bands. Sell, perfect, sell, perfect. But now look what we have here. So on the daily, it didn't look so good. But with commodities ripping higher, and for that, I wanted to compare copper against silver, against gold, against platinum. Copper is going to be this green color down here, And look at copper from 2020, just steadily moving higher, and now is caught up to all the different metals, the tradable metals, on this 2-3 year time frame. So copper is strong. Copper continues to rally. Platinum, we're very bullish. Platinum is dragging behind these metals, but nevertheless, copper ripping higher. We're getting a really strong buy signal now on the weekly. And why I say really strong is because go back and look at the other data. All these other buy signals and sell signals will give you a lot of confidence. Not to mention EWZ coming up on the scanner. We can see volatility rising as well. So the expectation is they're buying options. Go back to the dashboard, you can see again how this is a top 10 name when we put between 25 and 50 going back on the last 10 days, EWZ. So now, how can we play this? Well, let's go to the options and play around. Now, here's what I gotta say about EWZ. EWZ, it's not the highest volatility stock, but we want time. Rather than buying the stock, I like to go out to January. You could even consider going out further. But going out to January, stock's at 31.82. Let's say we buy a 10 lot of the 34 strike. If you buy a 10 lot for 90 cents, you have $900 of risk. You can never lose a penny more. $900 of risk. But the mindset when you get into this trade is, hey, I'm willing to risk $900, but I'm going to hold it for 93 days. I'm not going to take a stop. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to sell this if it goes down to 30 cents. I am in it because I did the analysis. And to give you confidence with your analysis, I would keep going back to this chart. Now, what do we do if it presses us, if it goes against? Well, if this happens and we dip down here, what's really important is before you get into the trade, I need you to think, how much money are you willing to risk? Before we did an example of $900. Well, let's say for this entire trade, you're willing to risk $1,000. Okay, fine. If you're willing to risk $1,000, then my suggestion would be risk 500. Risk 500, or risk 300, and risk 300, and risk 300. Don't just risk 1,000 on your first trade. Risk half. Then be patient. If you risk half, and so using the same example for 90 cents, maybe you buy a 5 lot. That's $450. And then if this darn thing hasn't moved the next 50 days, well, perhaps you can buy a 10 lot for 50 cents. And now you're cost averaging while still being patient, holding this EWZ position, waiting for a much bigger move. My name is Jonathan Rose. Pablo Lucina and myself share trade ideas every Sunday evening, and every Monday we get together for a live class to walk you through said trade ideas. Thanks for watching.